What's up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Omar, man. We got a great show for you. Got my boy Arthur, got my boy Scotty Waddy. We about to do this. What's up, fellas?
Morning.
Man, there's a lot going on right now. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. I mean, before we even kind of go into right now, I just want to visit what happened. What has happened is we got the coach we wanted in Antonio Pierce.
Yes.
We got a little surprised with Telesco. I mean, I think we all wanted the assistant GM to be promoted to the full-time GM but we got Telesco, and I know for me, I was cool with it.
Yeah.
And then there was this period we were waiting to see, all right, who's going to be the offensive coordinator? It was the next question. It was all we cared about for a minute there. We thought we had Cliff Kingsbury. We were happy there. And then we got Getsy. He was on his list. He was at the top of AP's list along with with Cliff. And Cliff wanted a longer contract than what we wanted to give him. Okay, we get it. But how do you guys feel about Getsy?
My first opinion on that, and I guess this leads into the Justin Fields conversation, but that offense was doing something there. Chicago's defense was giving up a whole lot. I don't think Justin Fields as much as a scrub as people are making him out to be quite honest with you. And Getz was, what's his name? Getsy. What?
Getsy. Yeah.
He was leading the charge there. So I'm okay with that. Let's see. And different places, different things happen, so I don't think Chicago has got all their shit together to make something happen. So I'm okay with it.
So I was excited about the Kingsbury hire. I was very excited about getting Cliff Kingsbury, and when it didn't happen and we brought Getsy in, it was a little bit of a letdown for me. But I mean, I do agree that Chicago's offense was good. I mean, they were like the number 2 rushing offense the past 2 years. So I mean, he definitely is kind of jives with our philosophy and running the ball. Like I said, I agree. I don't think that Justin Fields is as bad as people are making him out to be. As a backup plan, sounds like as cheap as we could probably get him. I don't think that would be a bad trade for us. So I like I said, now that it's kind of come to fruition, I've had to wrap my head around it and get over the Cliff Kingsbury kind of burning us. I'm good with it now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I was on the fence, of course. Cliff Kingsbury, I think, was the sexier choice. We all, I think, can agree on that. But I do think Getsy and AP wants to have that same style of offense. I think their philosophy on, as one of our former coaches used to say, building a bully on offense. Right. Being able to run that ball, smash mouth. So I think we're gonna get that. I do. I think we're going to get that. We did see a lot of improvement with Chicago later on in the season, especially when Fields came back. He was injured when we played him. Right. And then, it seemed like he was making some improvement. And a lot of times we see that in this league where, that was Luke's Getsy's second season with Chicago. And the quarterback sometimes can take it can take a season or two for the quarterback to click. We love when they jump right in and click, but sometimes that happens. So just kind of knowing that, understanding that that Getsy has a relationship with Tay going back to Green Bay. You know what I mean? So I love to hear things like that where you got some built-in relationships with some of the players. I think that's going to be great. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do. We saw how AP can affect a coordinator and the players on each on the defense. I can't wait to see how that happens on the offense. So
you got to believe that on what you just said, Omar. You got to believe that AP is picking his staff geared towards what he is. What his motivation is and what his style is. You got to believe that.
Definitely.
Yep.
So with that, now we're looking at free agency. Here's where, okay, we know the coaching, we got the GM. It's Telesco's time to cook now. He talks about how well, him and AP are on the same page on what they want. So I think he's got his job to do. And I think the first order of business is, hey, our free agents. I might have technical difficulties here, y'all, so mind with me, but I want to bring a little something up. My system been giving me some issues, but whatever. Y'all gonna have to suffer through it with me as I pull this up. So here's our free agents. Number one right there is going to be Josh Jacobs, fellas. So wait, you know what? I'm sorry. Before we get into that, hey guys, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us some love, you guys. So anyway, here is our free agents, at least top of the list free agent. We know Brian Hoyer is gone, so take him out of here.
Hold on.
Yeah. Right.
Just had to,
Yeah.
That was a beautiful thing.
So, of our guys on this list, so we know we didn't want Hoyer. We knew that. For me, I think it's Josh Jacobs. I think I think everyone is looking at that. What do you guys think about Josh?
For me, he seems to be clicking real well with AP. I think we're going to sign him. What it looks like, who knows? We're going to we got a little bit of money, I think, with Garoppolo going and Hoyer going, and it looks like Renfro's going to go too. So I think we can afford to make him happy. Come to some middle ground with him. I think he's going to stay.
I agree. I think the biggest thing with Josh is it's honestly he understands what the market is now after last year's getting franchise tagged and then them coming through with the 1-year deal. But I think with Josh, it's going to be more about the years. I think that if we come in low and try to lowball him with some 2-year deal or something, it's going to upset him. He's looking longer term, 3 to 4 year deal. And honestly, I think that it's going to come in at where everyone's going to be happy. I think it's going to be maybe a little below 10 million, somewhere in the 9.5 per year, but it's going to be a longer deal. It's going to be like a 4-year deal. And that's just it's going to be team friendly. And it's going to be good for Josh. So yeah, I think it happens.
Yeah. I know I had read, I don't know, was it last week before last, Josh was, talking about a 1-year deal. Now, when I read that, I'm all, last I remembered, he wanted a long-term deal.
Right.
So I was kind of scratching my head about, is it just hype? Or do you think that's real that he would want a 1-year deal? And then why would he want just a 1-year deal?
Oh, by the way, did you just see the comment that pulled up? I'm sorry, Arthur.
No,
did you see the comment that just posted? CBS Sports is reporting Josh Jacobs agrees to 1-year deal with $12 million.
Wow. Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you want a 1-year deal versus a longer term deal? Is it because the first thing came to my mind is he had a down season because he wasn't in camp, and maybe he's still thinking, hey, you know what? I didn't get to do what I know I can do to get me the bigger long-term deal. That was the only thing that came to my mind. You know what I mean? Or at least the first thought. I did think some other things, and then I was like, nah, I think maybe it is that, he wants big, the final contract, let's just say some 5 or 6 year deal or whatever. I mean, he's what, 25? Is he 25? Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Still pretty young, I mean, we know running back and linebacker, man, the life expectancy, you know what I mean, of a career is not, is not the longest, like you see in QBs. So, yeah, like I say, I see that he signed the year deal. I'm happy that we know we're going to have him. We know we're going to have him in camp, but I'm hoping that's the fact. I'm hoping that, hey, We know he started off very slow this year, sat out camp because he was upset about not getting the 5th-year option. And I'm hoping that's what this whole 1-year deal is about, saying, you know what? All right, I'm going to show you guys that I deserve I'm going to forever be a Raider. So we'll see.
For player-wise, team-wise, I kind of like it, the 1-year deal, because that means you got something to play for,
right?
So I kind of dig that in so many ways. I know he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves Josh Jacobs. I get that. I do too. But if that means you got 1 year to show another team or us what you got still in the tank, well, then that means we probably might be looking at a really good season from him. Okay. Looking at it, the silver lining to it, I don't know, if you will.
I agree. Honestly, I thought if he was going to take a shorter contract, I would even have preferred just to even do a 2-year deal. You probably came in a little less than 12. It'd have been closer to 10-5 or something. But yeah, I agree. If it means that that's what he's going to do, is he's going to show up this year and show out, then absolutely, let's go.
Let's do it.
I think Dodgers everything kind of feels the same way. He says with AP, JJ understands the situation and the importance of trying to build the right team. That was kind of one of the statements he had said, that he wasn't saying anything until he sees what Mark Davis is going to do about the coaching situation. And then I think after that point, he was like, all right, let's one way or other, we're going to make it happen. If I can't get the big deal, I'll do a 1-year deal to show you got, you know what I mean? That's why I was thinking that, of course, if they would have offered him a great long-term deal, he would have took it. But I think it was more so that, hey, we saw what happened last year. Give us a good year. We got you. And I think with Getsy too, I think Jacobs has to feel good about that, because we're going to pound the rock. We are going to pound the rock. Now, the next thing, and I've heard this with, hey, what do you guys think is outside of QB is the most important position to draft for? I've heard about it for free agency, and that's going to be that D-line.
Yes.
You see, we got Bilal Nichols that's up. We got Jenkins that's up. Butler that's up. We already let one guy go, and we should have saw that coming, because Telesco let him go in San Diego, and that's how we picked him up. But what do you guys think about the defensive tackle? They got Bilal here as a DN, but he's a defensive tackle.
Right.
What do you guys think between those three guys on who would you bring back and who would you let go?
Nichols was okay.
It's
all right. He's whatever. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, to be honest with you. Who else is on there? Jenkins. Yeah. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind going to draft somebody new.
So will we trade them all out? Would we say, hey, all right, let's dip into the draft for a tackle, and then let's also bring in another free agent that's out there?
Well, if we're gonna go spend some money and go get another free agent, for my money, let's just go get Christian Wilkins and pair him with Max, and maybe we get freaking Tyree rolling, here, there we go, or even So, spend some money. You go get Wilkins. Same thing. You pair him on a 3-year deal. That's what Max has left on his contract, and let's get rolling. So
that wouldn't make me mad at all.
No, not at all.
I dig that.
All right. Well, I'm glad you brought some other tackles up. Let me see if I can get this going here. It might not want to work as well, but it did. Awesome. Now here's a little head-to-head, because I've been hearing rumors about Leonard Williams, and I remember this guy wanted to come to the Raiders.
He wanted to come to the Raiders.
He wanted to be drafted by the Raiders.
Yes.
Pretty good stats. He's a little longer in the tooth than Wilkins.
Right.
But what do you guys think about Leonard Williams?
That wouldn't have bothered me one bit.
No.
I mean, I would love to match up Leonard Williams with a rookie defensive tackle.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally fine with that too. Like, once again, I think you can bring him in for a little bit cheaper than Wilkins. So you're saving some money, and, it gives you some money to spend in other places like O-line. So yeah, like I said, and the fact that he wants to be a Raider, like he wanted to come to us when he was in college. He grew up a Raider fan in LA. Like, I'm all about that. So
Yeah,
for sure.
it fits. It
Yes.
fits.
Charles says Wilkinson is the move. Let's go. Speaking of, let me just say what's up to everyone in the chats. What's going on, Dodgers everything? Charles Watts, Washington, what's up? Alden Bush, what's cracking? Tony Sheffield, hey man, thank you guys for tuning in. My honey sunshine bug, what's up? Thank you for watching. We got Space Beast in the house. Man, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget, smash the like button, subscribe if you hadn't, man. But I would love to bring it. I like people who want to be Raiders.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I know people are feeling Wilkins. Hey, I wouldn't be mad. But when you want to be a Raider, let's make him a Raider. Especially, I think he's still got something in the tank. I think we could get a couple good seasons out of Leonard Williams. I do.
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
You put him with a rookie, especially as a rotational player. We're gonna keep a couple. It's not like we're just gonna have two defensive tackles, in the team. But I think as a rotational player, Williams, I think he could finish as a Raider, and I think he would do pretty decent. But hey, like I said, I wouldn't feel Wilkins. We just saw Chris Jones. Everybody was thinking, oh my God, Chris Jones, man, that was a great dream we all were having. I had it too, but Kansas City just signed him to what I read is going to be the biggest defensive tackle contract of all time or whatever. So that man is not going anywhere. So, I mean, but hey, I get it. So we'll see what we do. I think, like I say, we're looking at Telesco right now thinking, all right, man, he's got to do his thing. But I think that defensive tackle position is, like I think it's very important. With that now, the cornerback market doesn't seem to be very hot in free agency this year. The safety market seems to be crazy.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of great safeties out there, but I haven't seen, at least I haven't seen a list of cornerbacks that make me like, oh my gosh, we need to get this cornerback. God dang it. It keeps showing the wrong doggone screen, whatever. Can't show it. But one thing we know for certain, that pressure up front helps those cornerbacks.
Right.
So I'm thinking this is great. And if I look at the draft, if I look at prospects in the draft, I see some nice cornerbacks in the first round. I mean, I know that's going to be a flip of the coin on which way you attack this, because quarterback, one thing we mentioned a little earlier that now we can come back to, because I think what we do in free agency is definitely going to affect at least what we do for that first pick. Absolutely. Outside of the fact, here we go. Outside of the fact of if we can trade up into the top, I think we need to trade at 2. I think for any chance to get AP's guy, Jaden Daniels, we have to trade with Washington. And I don't think Washington is going to do it. I just don't. I don't think Washington is going to be willing to pick. Chicago has already said we're not trading. Looks like they're solid on Caleb.
Right.
And, which now opens up the door. What are they going to want for Justin Fields? And I think the market is kind of cooling on Fields, which is good for us, because that means we can, if we want Fields, we could go with a lower draft pick. We don't have to spend a 2. Maybe we'll get him for a 3 or a 4 or something like that. Something with some incentives, like, hey, if he does X amount and, starts for us, it'll, convert into something else. But, I think if you land a Wilkins, we don't need a first round defensive tackle at that point.
No, of course not.
I'm looking at free agency that can tell us that, because I think no matter what happens with QB, I don't think we can get our guy, which opens up to me a whole nother conversation, because now we're looking at free agent. I think we should bring in a veteran quarterback regardless. Even if we could jump up to number 2, get Jaden Daniels. In my mind, I'm thinking, dude, get a veteran anyway. Maybe you won't get, and I don't think we're going to get Cousins anyway. I just really don't. I think he still wants too much money. He's coming off injury. To me, it's not even in my thought of getting Cousins. But I've definitely mentioned Russell Wilson before, early on, and I'm still hopeful we do that. I think we can get him for a good price. I hope he has a chip on his shoulder and would love to stick it to Denver. But with the Wilkins and not being able to trade up, would you guys consider trading down for cornerback, or do you want who's right there at 13? I think there's enough first-round talent at cornerback that we could trade down with a pick and still come up with a first-round grade cornerback that'll be good for us. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know about trading down. I'm not a fan of that this year. I think we need some key pieces, and we can get those at 13, and we can get one of them at 13. So I don't know, and I still think. Well, and I've said this before, and you convinced me on the Russell Wilson thing, Omar. I said, okay, I could see your point on that. I could see it because I didn't want him at all. But I could see we're going to need a bridge quarterback, and we're going to have to draft somebody. I don't know if we get a bridge and we get Justin Fields. That may be a thing, and then in the draft go for whatever we got to go for. I don't know about trading down this time. Not where we're at 13. I think we need to. I think it's because our team needs some players. Insert a player here, a player there. We're not rebuilding. We're not, So I think it's better to fill those holes. I personally do. I don't want to trade down.
I agree. I definitely don't want to trade down. I think that if we're going to bring in a Christian Wilkins, we're going to bring in a Leonard Williams, we're going to kind of fill our needs in free agency at D tackle, then with the talent that's at cornerback, I say we go get the best one. If we're going to look at corner in the draft, we can't trade up and go get our guy, go get Jaden. Then I agree. I think that we stand pat. I'm still not a believer in the Russell Wilson thing. I agree bringing in a bridge quarterback. I know we can get him cheap enough. To me, he's just soft. And I think AP's building the toughness. We kind of talked about it before, how AP's building the toughness in that locker room. And I think that Russell's just soft. I would rather go trade for Justin Fields, bring him back, pair him with Getsy, maybe a new environment. Things really start clicking a little bit better. Still bring in that quarterback of the future if we can't. We look at maybe a Michael Penix Jr. in the second round or something and go that route. I want to be a believer in Russell Wilson, but I just can't. Like I said, I feel like the guy's too soft and isn't going to fit with our team and the toughness that we're building. But I definitely agree with Scotty and standing pat at 13. And that's if we can't move up and take the best corner available, get our guy. Don't let Telesco, have him get his guy that he thinks is going to fit. Have AP find the guy that he's going to think is going to click with this defense. And same thing, we build. We're just bringing in more talent.
I think Charles Washington agrees that he says, stop the crazy talk about moving up in the draft. I think people aren't going to want to do it, or it's going to be too expensive. Sounds like Charles Washington don't think we should move down in the draft either. Too many good players right where we are. I think I really think it's going to be very interesting, what happens. Because like you were saying, Penix maybe at the top of the second round. I could literally see a run on quarterbacks in this draft. I could see Michael Penix gone. I mean, if you think the top 3, Bears, Caleb, Washington, let's just say Jaden Daniels, right. The Patriots, let's just say they go with Drake May. And then you go down, Atlanta could still need a quarterback. We know the Broncos need a quarterback, and that could be Bo Nix and Mike Penix. And I think there's another team
who could be,
huh?
Or McCarthy. They
right. But I think there's another team that I'm missing right now that needs a quarterback as well, which I think those last 3 could be gone. So it could get crazy. You know, of course, teams are eyeing someone else, but I'm just like, man, this could be crazy. I mean, we literally could be going second or third round looking at Rattler or Milton or someone like that. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm thinking, like I say, to me, best free agent veteran quarterback, you know, if we're not going to trade for Fields, you know, I think we may need to really, really look at that. Someone is saying Baker Mayfield. I really don't think the Bucs are going to let Baker go. I think he balled out a bit last season, and I don't think they're going to let him go. You know,
can I just say this on Caleb Williams? We're playing couch GM right here. If I'm the GM of any team, I'm gonna tell you something. Caleb Williams ain't coming on my team. That dude. Why would you want to attract that energy that Caleb Williams? I'll make a bold prediction. Caleb Williams doesn't get drafted as high as we think.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna drop. You know,
there could be something to that. I mean, especially when you see what Jayden said. When, you know, Jayden was asking why he didn't throw at the combine, and he said, hey, I want to throw at my pro day because I can lift up my guys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you talk about somebody saying all the right things and then you got someone saying all the wrong things, it's kind of, you know, between what we presume to be the first and second picks of the draft, that's kind of, you know, I mean, Jayden definitely did himself some favors, and Caleb, I think, kind of hurt his stock. But I think when you're looking at, excuse me, the production Caleb has had over 3 seasons on the field, you know, one of the things a lot of guys want to see is production. Oh, you know, a lot of production out there. And Caleb does have that. The tape is not going to lie. Could it be a hard negotiation for the GM? I think that's where I think Caleb, in my mind, where that question mark could be. You know, I don't think, however, Caleb and AP would probably mix, though. You know, suppose Caleb did drop. You know, let's just go, I mean, crazy and wild hypothetical, and that he dropped into a place we could trade up to get him. Would the sensitive ego of Caleb mix with the hard nose of AP? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, personality-wise, I don't think he's their guy. Player-wise, I do. But personality-wise, I'm thinking, ooh, you know what I'm saying? You might be too sensitive crying to mommy and stuff. You know, remember, that was the one thing AP said about O'Connell, is that when O'Connell was getting smashed, he pulled him and looked him in his eyes, and O'Connell was like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm getting my ass kicked, but I'm good, coach, don't trip. And that's what he needed. He needed that kind of mental toughness. And to me, that's the only question mark of Caleb playing for AP, is that, you know, AP is looking for that. He wants you to get punched in the face and not blink and just throw yours back. That's what he's looking for. So big question there. Man, let's say what's up. We got some more folks out here in the chat joining in. Raider Travis, what's up, my brother? Shoot, who else we got here? Hugh Jack City. What's going on? Oh, man, let's see here. I did see someone saying that AOC will, Body Snatcher said, hey, AOC will be the starter. I won't be mad. Here we go, though. Here's the conditions where I won't be mad, is that we bring in a veteran and we draft a quarterback and then they compete. And if AOC come out shining, I mean, because in my mind, AOC is the floor. He's the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a chance, of course, to rise up, you know, and I think a good camp battle, the cream was going to rise to the top. And if that's AOC, I'm walking into the season feeling good. I'm like, wow, he beat whoever we brought in, let's just say, and he's the guy. All right, we knew all those other things that he had. AP was letting us know. Everybody in the locker room was letting us know what kind of guy he is. So if his play beat out some people, I wouldn't be mad. What about you guys?
Look, man, AOC was not in the plans last year, and again, I'm not sold on him completely, but I gotta say, look at the last games with AP and AOC. He may not have done great things, but he didn't make mistakes either. And if he wasn't in the plans, you know, from the start of the season, And now he is, and now he's got a camp to work around him and create that competition. He may rise to the top. It's very possible. Again, I'm not sold on the guy. I'd rather have Jaden Daniels, but if that's what we got, I'm gonna back it until further notice. Until he proves that wrong.
So for me, first of all, I think that if you bring in Russell Wilson, you have to guarantee him to be the starter. I don't think that he's coming into any situation to battle for a job, even though the Broncos are paying most of his contract and you're going to get him on a minimum deal. I don't see Russell Wilson wanting to go to a situation where he has to compete. So if AOC is the starter, Russell Wilson's probably not on our team, and that seems to be what you guys want. Like I said, I don't want Russell Wilson, so I'm good with that. But yeah, I mean, if we draft a rookie quarterback, we bring somebody else in and he rises to the top. I just feel like if we go into the season with AOC as our starter next year, then a lot of things that we really wanted to happen didn't happen. That's probably for me, that might be like plan C or E. I mean, D or E down the road. I mean, I would, like I said, if we can't go get Jaden, you're right. Maybe it's too expensive. Penix Jr. doesn't fall to us. We don't get Justin Fields. I mean, that's something that we tried everything. We threw everything that we could to go bring in a new quarterback. And this is just kind of how it happened. So
I still want to know how this works. I mean, what if the drafted player doesn't want to play for that team? I still want to know how that works. Like, I mean, as far as I remember, you can't be forced to do something. I mean, or is that part of the contract that they sign some type of way to get into the draft that, they go to wherever they get picked? I still would like to know how that works.
I think it goes back to kind of almost like Bo Jackson, where the team owns the draft rights. So when Bo got drafted by Tampa Bay, he didn't want to play for Tampa Bay. He's like, forget it, I'm going to play baseball. Went back into the draft the next year. No one touched him because everyone was like, well, he doesn't want to come here. He doesn't want to come there. He's just going to go play baseball. And then that's when Al Davis said, well, for a 6th-round pick, yeah, I'll take Bo Jackson. And he absolutely wanted to come play for the Raiders. And we saw what happened. So I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can – we can, if we draft you and you don't want to play for us, you don't have to show up, but we own your draft rights. And until somebody wows us with a trade, or, we decide after 2 or 3 years down the road or whatever, we decide to release you, whatever, it's here, or, you go play for the Rock in the UFL or whatever it is he's starting, and, or, you go to Canada or something, or you do something else.
That may be the way that works. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what? If the guy's telling you, hey, I don't want to play for you,
sure.
Why not get? Okay, well, who do you want to play for? I want to play for them. Well, get the GMs on the phone.
Yep.
Get the GMs on the phone and get it done. Is that the way it works? I think that might be the way it works. Again, I don't know. I don't know what that means. What we'd have to give them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, here's a comment from Hugh Jack City saying, Field is soft. Looks like Tarzan playing Jane, like Jane. I mean, I heard what Luke Getsy was saying about Fields. I mean, he was throwing out all the warm and fuzzies, And to me, that was the one thing that made me think that, okay, are we really, are we really gonna, trade for Fields? Is because of his statements. Because right before that, everybody was saying, oh no, with Getsy, Fields is not coming to the Raiders, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, like I said, Getsy just started talking very highly of him, and and this and that. We did see improvement with him. So, to me, that can happen. Outside of the quarterback, on the offensive side, we just, as we said earlier in the show, JJ just signed a 1-year deal, so we're secure at running back. We already know how that running back group looks. They look great. Zeus picked up last season, so I'm like, okay, we're good with running back. Not to say that later in the draft they may pick up one. I don't know, but I think we're solid. Like I said, I think we're solid at running back, but on our free agent list, we do have our center, who's a free agent.
Yes.
You know, there's some good offensive linemen in this draft.
Yes.
You know,
I'd like
so
to
I
keep
definitely.
Andre James.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to keep Andre James.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, I'm all. Who else is out there? I don't even know. I didn't even get a list of offensive linemen in free agency. I just kind of bypassed that because I haven't seen it. I see more in the draft. If I'm Telesco, I'm thinking, you know what? Let's pick up. You know, do we look at our safeties and maybe think about one of these safeties to bring in for as a rotational player? There's just some good safeties out there. I mean, I don't know, or let them battle it out. I mean, Morg is doing great. I think our safety position is actually cool.
Right.
To me, our defense, we still need a linebacker. We still need a cornerback, and as we were saying, we need D-line. But I think outside of the quarterback on the offensive side, this offensive line, and I think this is the perfect draft to think about, getting some young competition in for that O-line that we can just find gold in pretty much, I think, any of the first through 4 rounds. I mean, and there's probably even gold in the 5th, but I'm just like, wow, okay.
And you may be right, because let's say we can't get our quarterback. So then do we go and just solidify that offensive line because we know that AOC is a statue in there? And you're going to do one of two things. You're going to show them how to move in the pocket, or you're going to fortify the offensive line because that's how he plays, and you got to work around him, So, if we don't get the quarterback and it's looking like AOC is going to be in the top competition for quarterback there, depending on what we get, then is our 13 on offensive line? Hey, who knows?
Listen, I'd be totally okay with that. I completely believe that you build from within the trenches. For me, honestly, I mean, everyone's talking about the quarterbacks in the draft. There's a lot of sexy wide receivers in the draft, but I think that O-line is the best group of position-wise in the draft right now. I think you can go out and you can go get you're going to go get like a Hall of Famer versus that sexy wide receiver, that sexy quarterback. You can go get like I don't think he's going to fall to us, but like a Joe Alt. I mean, those guys are going to be people that are going to be cornerstones of your O-line for the next 10 years and, be all pros, be pro bowlers, and do a lot of stuff versus, like I said, I agree with Scotty. I'm not a believer in Caleb. I think he just brings way too much drama, way too much of a headache. And honestly, I think he's going to be a bust of the 3 QBs or of the, all the QBs that are being talked about. So yeah, I mean, if you want a cornerstone fixture that is someone that can anchor your line, you go get somebody, another, maybe a big right tackle. We pair him with Colton and we just solidify that line. I'm great with that.
Would it be crazy? Because I had heard we were trying to move up. I think we inquired about moving up from 5 to 7 or somewhere in there. And we grab a Joe Alt and pair him up with Penix, who's a left-hander, and you put Alt on the right side.
Yeah.
I mean, would that just be wow? You know?
Love it.
I mean, we had a lefty long time ago.
Right.
Who won us a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He was also coached by a guy who was a linebacker coach that moved up named Madden.
Right.
I love, connecting dots, just sitting back, like, you know what? Hold on here. We had a lefty before, and that lefty did all right for us. Here's this other lefty that, Penix is a wild card because people keep saying that he could, he had 2 ACL injuries.
Yeah.
He didn't do well in the championship game against Michigan, and some people saying he could drop. And could you imagine, though, getting a Joe Alt in the first and then getting Penix in the second? I don't know. And then letting him sit. I mean, I said, I wouldn't mind letting a guy sit, and have a veteran. And like I say, and I'm saying this built on the fact that AOC is the floor. That, there will be no worse quarterback than AOC. Everything is going to be AOC or something better. And
on your thought, if AOC is the floor,
yeah, he is.
we're not that bad if you think about it. That's not that bad, you
No,
know. It's
no.
only going up from there. And like I said, I'm not sold on the guy yet, but he didn't make very many mistakes when he was riding with AP. He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't make a
no.
lot of
So,
mistakes. Now,
like I
Arthur,
said,
I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something at Arthur. So, and you said something to the effect of does Russell Wilson want to play backup role?
Right.
You make a very valid point. Does he? But if he does, and this is kind of what Omar sold me on that, because I was completely against Russell Wilson at the beginning. But if he does, let's say you got AOC, Russell Wilson, and X drafted quarterback. And let's assume that he's okay with playing that backup role. Does that benefit us a lot? Because I think
100%.
it might. Yeah, I
Right.
think it might, to bring up these guys, and hey, we don't really need that much help beating Denver, but
Right. Yeah.
but does that help us a lot if he wants to play that? But you may be right. He may not want to. You
Right.
may be right.
And
I don't think
that's my thing with Russ is that I agree. Listen, if we can convince him to come in, play for the league minimum, let Denver pay most of his contract, like it's going to happen, and he's like, yeah, listen, I'm willing to sit behind. Listen, the plan is to draft a Penix, or maybe to a lesser extent a Bo Nix, and Russ is willing to understands his role of, hey, look, I got to compete with AOC. I also got to help these young guys. If I win out, great, I'm going to be the starter. If I don't win out, I'm okay with that, and I'm still going to help you guys. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
See, that's along the lines that I was like, okay, well, maybe that does work. That's
right.
what kind of Omar sold me on. I was like, okay, if it's that, then okay, I'll take Russell Wilson. Not that I want Russell Wilson, but in that capacity, I would take it.
Right.
I mean, people got to remember, Russell Wilson last season. Let's just compare him with Mahomes. Mahomes had 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Russ, who didn't play the last 2 games of the season, so let's say through 15 games, threw 26 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. I mean, that's just worth looking at. I mean, in my mind, like I said, I just think it's worth looking at. But I don't care what veteran we bring in. We got to draft someone too.
Yes.
We need 3 possibilities for starters in camp. And here's T. Severe saying Penix would destroy AOC in an open competition. I mean, that's what we want. I mean, I'm just saying, we want, and we know we're going to get it. We know with AP, we're going to get competition. Dodgers Everything says AOC ain't him, and AP knows that. And I think he's going to I think, that was one of the first things AP did, was get these guys to practice hard again. Yeah. So that's why I keep saying I am looking forward to
that's a very valid point. That's very valid. That's the X factor right there. That's very valid.
I mean, and then here's Ray Travis saying, is it Wilson or the team around him that failed? Well, that Ray Travis, that's a great point. But and I think to answer that, we got to look at what type of offense does Russell Wilson do well in. And I think it's the exact type of offense we want to do. If you look at what he had in Seattle, those boys ran the ball. They had a great defense. You weren't going to jump ahead of the what were they called? The
Legion of Boom.
The Legion of Boom. You weren't going to jump way ahead of them on points. And that's what we're trying to do here on our defense as well. And then we want to run the ball. I think it will be great situation just on that note for Russell Wilson, but I still want competition. And to me, that might be the hard pill to swallow for Russell Wilson, that, hey, dude, all right, we'll sign you, but you're going to compete. You're going to compete for that.
So let's say this. Let's say we can't do we're throwing out moving up in the draft. Okay. We stayed at 13. Yep. So let's say this. AOC's starter, Russell Wilson's QB2, and let's say like a Penix is QB3. Are you guys mad at that quarterback room?
No, I am not. I mean, look what
Matt.
Penix can do. This is why I keep making those references to back in the day. That boy can throw the deep ball. I think
Absolutely.
he's the best in the draft at throwing the deep ball. And that's what we want to do. We want to smash you in the mouth, make you cheat up to stop the run, and then just drop them on you. I mean, that's kind of what we want to do.
Yeah.
So, I look at that's why I was talking about trading down. Here we go. Would we want to get Penix, even if we thought Penix would drop to let's say the top of the second round? Do we want to move up into the late first round so we'll have the fifth-year option with him? I mean, I think Telesco could do it either way. I think even if we get him in the second, we could renegotiate if he's playing well, around season 3 or 4 or something like that. But will he make it to where are we at? Are we 35? Wait, what is our second round pick? I can't remember the number. No, I don't know if we're that high up.
It's like 44.
But moving down, I love moving down. And here's why, because we can get more picks. And like I was saying, if we don't get if we get Penix later in the first round, get Sweat in the second round for that defensive tackle spot, or maybe one of those cornerbacks there, and then grab someone else. I would love to have another third round pick or something like that, whatever, depending on how far down we move, and still get a Penix. Hey, I am not mad at a move like that. I'm not mad at a move like that. So I think we're at 44. OG Raider 805 said we're at 44. Yeah. So I would love to do something like that, because I think the dreams of Jaden Daniels, from what I'm seeing Matt Jones get traded by the Patriots over to the Jaguars this morning, I'm like,
yeah.
Jaden, I get them getting, because I was hoping they would take like Marvin Harrison Jr. right there to, if they thought that Matt Jones or the other guy they have playing at quarterback just needed more help on the receiver side. Why not get, arguably the best player in this draft with the most guarantees of being a really good player in the league in Marvin Harrison Jr. I thought, all right, if I'm thinking I could be okay, or, they spent the first round pick on Mac Jones.
Yes.
And then there was a whole lot of changes. So I was hoping that they would take a look at him and say, all right, we're going to give him some weapons. I was also hoping that the Bears would do the same thing with Fields. So that would give us a chance. And now it's looking like no chance. So I'm thinking, okay, can't move up, move down, get some more picks. There is a lot of offensive weapons in this draft. So I'm hoping we do it.
That, though?
Right.
Do we need that? That's what I'm saying. Do we need offensive weapons? We got some pretty solid ones.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. I think thinking about the O-line, thinking about quarterback, you got to remember our offense. I'm thinking along that our offense was the worst unit on our team. And this draft gives us the best chance to, and free agency, of course, but I think this draft gives us the best chance to, get some better linemen in specifically. I think we could do a lot. I definitely think we could get at the top of the draft some good defense or one of these top 6 quarterbacks. Because I don't know, man. I was saying before, I don't know if these quarterbacks could be gone. At least the top 6 by the time we're at 13. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, in defense, I think we all agree: cornerback, defensive tackle. Do we get a linebacker? But I don't think we're going to get a linebacker. I don't think we'll pick a linebacker until maybe 4th round, maybe. If anything, I think that's something like defensive tackle. I think because it's so strong, we could go free agency. I think we may hit free agency for a linebacker. That one is still a question mark of what we're going to do because we got 2 guys that are playing well, and we do need a rotational because a lot of times we do just play with 2 linebackers, we play a lot with 2 linebackers, and I'm not mad about that. So that's why I'm thinking
if we can't draft up, does the team say, all right, AOC is what he is. Mm-hmm. This is what we got. We're going to have a hell of a defense to let him come along and have that defense do their job like they did last year. have the defense do their job so that AOC can come along. Maybe that may be something there too, if we can't get our quarterback.
Let's see here. What's up, Squid? Squid says he thinks we need a QB to compete. He would love for O'Connell to shock us all. All right. Defensive tackle, of course, D-line, and then cornerback. I'm going to go back with Ray Travis, too, though. Every time somebody mentions O'Connell, I want a better line. Like, we had a good line. How do we have just, like, hands down the top, top three NFL line? I mean, to me, I think we're going to need that anyway. For this style of football, bullying people, making sure that every time someone touches that ball in the backfield, boom, you know what I mean? We're guaranteed yards. I think we want to get back to that. That's the reason why I also think this draft can help with that, because you gotta have some good rotational players. It's good to have some young guys in there. So definitely hope we bring back James, our center, and there's been a couple of guys that's been developing, but it's going to be very interesting where we put the resources. We only need, to me, like I said, we only need a few more pieces.
Yes.
And I think if I had to say, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on this too, outside of quarterback, because you got to have a great quarterback, but what do you guys think is the one pivotal piece that if we don't fix anything else, let's just say if everything kind of stayed short of Tillery, we know Tillery gone, but let's say we bring back Jenkins, we bring back all those defensive tackles I showed earlier in the show. What is the one thing that you guys think we would need that is going to just be pivotal for this team?
Well, I think that if we had a great linebacker, I think that would help us a whole lot getting to the quarterback. And I think that our safety and cornerback room needs a little bit of help there too. So if we roll with AOC, whether by choice or by default, I think we solidify that defense.
I think we talked about it earlier. If it's AOC at quarterback, we can't trade up. We can't move back in the draft. I said I don't want to move back in the draft. I think for me, if we can go get a really dominant defensive tackle, a guy that is going to maybe absorb some double teams, and it frees up Max, it frees up Kuntz, Tyree's able to develop and come along, and we're just building in that defensive trench. I think that's where we're at. I mean, if not, everything else is going to go wrong at the quarterback position, we're just not going to get what we want, and it's going to be AOC. Then for me, if we can solidify that D line and really have it to where, who do you double? Do you double Max? Do you double Kuntz? Do you double, like a Christian Wilkins? Like, who do you double? And we get a lot of, when we're getting to quarterbacks, then I agree. I mean, I think that's where we're pushing in the right direction, at least. And, maybe we're a year away and we find our quarterback, and then we're there.
T. Severe said, if we go into the year with he calls him AO4 as our presumptive starter, something went horribly wrong.
I agree.
I mean, only thing I got to say to that is there's a team on the East Coast that picked number one overall, and that quarterback sucked worse than AOC. He did. I got to mention that. So I feel his statement, because I do like I said, I think AOC is the 4. It'd be great to bring in some guys to compete, but suppose they don't beat them. That's my mind says there's going to be competition. And if he beats them, I'm going to make the assumption that, okay, we're good. Because in my mind, I think the number one thing we need a shutdown cornerback. We need to make sure people can't jump ahead of us. You know what I mean? In a game, we don't want big chunks of yards taken out. I think this defense, if we can make, even like I'm saying, and I'm going with, we didn't bring in a Wilkins. We got the same defensive tackles minus Tillery. Maybe we just got another guy that comes in or something like that, or we draft a rookie that's come on. But whatever. Let's just say pretty much we'll see that performance. However, just think that if we had a shutdown corner that makes the quarterback hold the ball just a little bit longer, I think everybody performs better. I think everybody on the D-line we had last season would perform better if we had a shutdown corner making the QB hold the ball a little bit more.
But that being said, our corners and safeties, they had some pretty decent numbers last year, man. They weren't allowing too much at all. Amik Roberts is what, like 5'8" or some shit like that. I mean, I dig it, I get it, but they had some good numbers. The decent numbers for what we had going on there.
See, I attribute that more to the safety play. I thought the safeties were great. You know what I mean? I did. I thought our safeties were I thought they're playing outstanding. But for the defense we run, that's why I was thinking, there's a lot of great safeties out there. Sometimes I in my mind, I think, if we have one of those tweener guys that we can add a safety, but I still think we need cornerback. There were some big plays that if we could have back from last season, man, would change some games for us. So I'm going to say cornerback. And like I say, because we use the linebacker spot is the last on my list on defense because of the way we use them. And the two that we've been using the most, man, I am not mad. Spillane showed out. Yeah, you know what I mean? So Diablo showed out. I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm not, if we bring in another one, great. But the way we were, as a rotational, I think, maybe needed. But cornerback for me is first and foremost, I think, on this defense, because I think it'll help the front four. So.
The flip side of your argument, though, Omar, is I don't want the quarterback to hold on to the ball longer. I want to have a strong defensive line that makes him have to get rid of that ball a little bit faster. So if we have a great D tackle, we have Max coming off one edge, we have, Tyree gets healthy, he's coming off the other edge, or we have Kuntz coming off the other edge, and that quarterback knows that he's got to get rid of that ball in under 3 seconds. Same thing, our corners don't have to cover as long as we need them to. And there we go. I mean, I agree with Scotty. I thought that the corners late in the season played well. Jack Jones came on. You know what I mean? And so if we have a strong D line that they know that we can't double everybody, we're either getting pressure up the middle from a Christian Wilkins, from a Leonard Williams, or we're getting it off the edge with Max, or on the other side with whoever it's going to be, then he knows he's got to get rid of that ball. The corners don't have to cover as long, and we don't need as strong as corner play as I guess you would like.
Yeah, no, that's the other side of that coin. That's the other side of the coin. Give the quarterback less time from pressure up front, make him hold it longer to help the guys up front, on the backside. So that is that trade-off. It seems like the sentiment leans more towards getting the front four a lot better. So hey, I mean,
I'd like to put the quarterback on his back.
Yes,
right? I want to get at the quarterback.
100%.
That's where that's Raider football. You get at the quarterback.
But why are we even talking about this? Raider Travis just locked it down. Here's the season in a nutshell. Let's just draft a few reps. Fuck it. It's hey. But to that point, man, I think the wins are finally at our back. Yes. I mean, for decades, the refs have been headwinds for the Raiders. And if you look at last season, we finally got some tailwinds.
Right.
And I mean, to be more aggressive and more disciplined on the defensive side. I mean, and I do want to speak to a little something that I thought was kind of BS. AP, being what he is, he's a defensive guy, playing violent, talking about, hey, using the Michael Jordan rules against Patrick Mahomes. And then people sitting here, I don't know if they really want to turn, contact football into flag, but hey, it's a violent game. Yes. Hey, if you got to lay hands on people, what he's just saying is that we need Patrick Mahomes under duress all game long. If not, he wins. It's simple.
I personally love that comment. I'm like, that's that. Let's get that attitude. Put that attitude into the locker room. Yeah, the Michael Jordan rule. I mean, you could not have said that better. Yeah,
this ain't a bounty.
It's the toughness that I talked about earlier that AP's bringing to our locker room. It's just that toughness he's bringing to the locker room, and I'm all about it.
Yeah,
nobody wants to hurt and take him out of the game. But
No.
if you keep him on his back for a lot of the game,
Yeah.
you win.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the facts. I mean, so I think people, you know, if you're too sensitive to watch football, just don't watch. if you want to take what AP is saying, I forgot the one guy, Lombardi. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know, his little
Yeah.
comments, and I don't want to go there too much, but it's just kind of like, you know what? Lombardi's paid to talk, so he's gonna talk, whatever. AP is who he is, you know what I mean? And I hope he doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Keep getting these guys hyped up. You got guys want to run through a wall for you. Now you want guys to put Mahomes on his back all day, game long. Great. Keep preaching that. Keep coaching that. Make sure they understand that every practice. You know, I mean, circle the calendar for the 2 games we play KC and get these guys hyped up that when they play KC, they know what they need to do.
Right.
It's simple. You know, you got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Block Chris. Look, in my mind, block Chris Jones now is job number 2, and put Mahomes on his back. I mean, you know, keep him under duress the whole game. Simple, man. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean,
what the hell's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? Hit him. Like I said, and I've always been a fan, not in the late quarters, but in the early quarters. You know, when they get these unsportsmanlike conduct because they did something, okay, so what? Put them on notice. I'm not mad at that. Not when it's going to cost you the game, obviously, but in those early first 2 quarters, do it. Who cares? Hit them out of bounds. I don't care. Pop them. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Charles Watson said, "Don't let that fool you. We played with a smart Raider mindset for a change instead of dumb and mindless." Oh yeah. And I think, and to speak to that, I think those 2 penalties that Chris Jones had, Jack Jones had on defense when we played against, what was that, Indy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, I looked at those and I was like, I don't think those went our way, man. I don't think that was a dumb move he did. But that's just me. But I do think they're playing smarter, more disciplined, and I attribute that to AP a lot. You know what I mean? And our defensive coordinator. You know, you can't take him out of it. I think he showed that he was handcuffed.
Yes.
With McDaniels, he showed that, and AP came, cut the cuffs, set him loose, got everybody more pumped. You know, basically AP was just an amplifier. He was like, he just threw the bass on. He put some bass in defense.
Yep. You're in charge of defense. Go do your job. I ain't mad at it at all.
Yep.
And it showed. It showed. And even the beginning of the season with what's his name? I don't even want to say a fool's name. Anyways, even at the beginning of the season, our defense looked good. But then when we got to when AP came in, then forget about it. It looked really good. It looked really good. And I'm glad we kept Patrick Graham. And I'm going to tell you, I was one that wanted him to go with that coach that we had too. But now I'm starting to see, wait a minute. Doesn't look like it was Patrick Graham.
Right.
You know, and that was apparent, you know.
Oh, yeah. You could tell the handcuffs came off. You can tell that the identity, you know, AP brought in a new culture and identity. He cut Patrick Graham loose. Yep. Do your thing. They already knew our defensive scheme. They just needed, like I said, a little motivation, focus. Patrick Graham made the right. He knew how to make the right calls because we saw them in the right places at the right time doing the right thing. So, I mean,
and consistently. It wasn't one game. It was consistent.
And that's one thing people aren't talking enough about. We're now going to be. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So let me bring up this point. So if we saw what we saw, you know, because there was a couple games there, the Minnesota game, 3-0. Then we lost another 2 games or something like that, real close, real tight. I think AP had 9 games under his belt at the end of 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
If we saw what we saw at the end of last year, and now we have, and Omar, you said a new mindset. I want to change that. I want to the mindset, because this is what we are.
Right.
That the Raider mindset ain't new. It's we just went back to it, you know. With the whole off season, with and I'm gonna say it, even with AOC, with under AP, even with AOC under AP, and with the defense now looking like something, you know, I feel like we're on something, man. I feel like we got something on. That's why I say, look, man, we just need you just need a couple pieces, man. You know, and if we can't get the quarterback, man, let's just go after those pieces and let's go with it. You know, we're gonna get 2 other quarterbacks, obviously, but we need a few pieces, man. And I think we're on to something now. I think we're on to something.
Yep.
Definitely. And you were touching on exactly what I was about to say. And now we're gonna go into another season of this.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, I can't wait to hear just the stories out of camp, you guys. I mean, look, I heard how he changed practice, you know, the conversion. And someone in the chat just brought up something that, you know, one of the worries that people try to talk about, like AP player coach, is going to be soft. But here was one of those things he did besides changing practices. He cut a guy straight up, a veteran, like, hey, called him off the field, and that's all, folks. You're not going to come in here and play soft. You're not like you're not one of our guys if that's how you're going to play. I absolutely love that. I mean, that to me was another pivotal thing. Like I say, if you're talking about cutting Graham loose, if you're talking about hyping guys up, well, the other thing is, if you're not going to come in here and play your part, you got to go.
Right.
You know, I mean, no apologies.
Yeah.
And that brings that discipline. That brings that effort. So like I say, when I hear Lombardi talk, I'm like, dude, this guy is walking the talk. Lombardi, you're just sitting back, you know.
And I think there's a huge difference with the way it's not fear. Hey, if you don't perform, we're gonna cut. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's that this is our mindset. This is how we're gonna play. If you don't fit into that, I don't know what to tell you. You know, this is what we're doing. You know, so it's not like oh, you got to do this. No, it's not that. It's the mindset that he's bringing along. You know, that's the difference.
All right, guys. So at the end of the show here, I want to wrap up because I want to hear your final predictions on free agency. I mean, I think the consensus in here is everybody was saying, especially on defense, the consensus in the chats and from you guys is get the D-line right.
Absolutely.
And everything else is just going to fall in place in our defense. Leonard or Wilkins? Who do you guys actually think? Not want, but who do you actually think? And there's also DJ Reader. There's some other guys out there. You know what I mean? But in my mind are they going to be better than who we have currently that are free agents as well? You know, so what do you guys think, at least for defensive tackle?
Well, I think there's something to be said. I like Wilkins. I mean, I'll take that. I think there's something to be said for experience, you know, and bringing experience into that whatever individual room, position room that you want. I think there's something to be said about that. You know, Wilkins, I like him. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Or Williams, I wouldn't. That wouldn't bother me one bit. Neither one of them.
I said it early on. I love Christian Wilkins. I think it'd be a great sign. But once again, if Leonard Williams, once again, we talked about he wants to be a Raider. He's wanted to be a Raider. So, and we can get him a little bit cheaper, save some money, and use that money in other places. I'm fine with that. I just, like I said, for me, bringing in one of those big top D tackles to pair with Max is pivotal.
And another thing, as you're wrapping up here, Omar, I was, I'm listening to us talk. I'm looking at the comment. It seems like we got a lot of problems, if you will, and what I mean by that is we need to fill a lot of holes. We need to do a lot of change here, change there, but they're really not bad problems if you really think about it. It's really like you were saying, AOC is the floor. Damn. Well, that's not the worst thing in the world,
right?
That's not horrible. bringing in a rookie, drafting in a defensive line. That's not horrible. Offensive line, drafting somebody. That's not horrible. We got some things to do, but it's not like we're dire necessity of anything. The quarterback and the safeties, we talked about that. It's not dire necessity. Yeah, we want to improve clearly, but we have problems that aren't horrible.
Right. Definitely. And now for the QB position in free agency now. Who do you guys think we should bring in? I do think we need a veteran in.
Yes.
Somebody.
As a free agent, you talking?
As a free agent, yes.
Again, I think Russell Wilson can help the room out. I don't want him to play, but I think he can help the room out. I don't like Kirk Cousins.
No, it's too expensive.
I don't like him. I don't know who else is out there.
Jacoby Brissett.
We got Brissett, Gardner Minshew. In my mind, it's either Gardner, Jacoby, or Russell Wilson.
And of those, is this going to be recorded? Of those, I'll take Wilson. Is there a record of this shit?
I think Tyrod Taylor is out there too, and he in Telesco, Tyrod played with the Chargers, so him.
My thing about this, of all those that you say, who is the best quarterback career wise? It's Russell Wilson.
Sure,
it is.
Hands down. You can't really argue with that. So if that's what we're gonna do, again, going back to what Arthur said, is if he wants to play that backup role, knowing that that's a very strong possibility, and he's okay with that, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing. I think it's going to be convincing him to play that backup role, or knowing that he's coming in on that 1-year deal, kind of prove it deal to other teams, and he's going to play, but only because he's there to help teach a young rookie quarterback, a Penix, a Bo Nix type of guy, knowing that that's going to be our long-term goal. I just don't see him coming in competing with AOC. If we think that he's going to come in and compete with AOC, I don't see that happening.
Right.
That to me is the only hang up. But I love a guy who's going to get paid, $38 million by 39. Another team. See, me, I'm thinking I want to say fuck you to the Broncos.
Sure.
Me, I'm thinking Russ should have a chip on his shoulders. Yeah. You guys are paying our guy to whoop your ass. I mean, come on. To me, the implications of having Russ Williams not only be on our team, but beat out everybody. Like I say, you got to go to camp, beat out everybody, be our starter, and then smash. Of course, we're gonna smash the Broncos.
Yeah. I want Russell Wilson to come say, "Okay, you put up 63 on the Chargers. Now I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna show you how to put up 64 on the Broncos. Let's do that."
Right? I mean, I thought this was funny. Charles Washington said Tyrod Taylor is a grandfather. Damn. That's funny right there. I didn't know that. But I mean, I know, like I said, I think Art, we talked about this before. You made a great point. Russell Wilson is not that hard-nosed kind, you know what I mean? Like I say, personality-wise, he's not. But I've never seen him be scared and pressure on the field. You know what I mean? I've never seen, some people say, hey, right now he's kind of not the big locker room guy and leader that you want in the locker room. So I have heard a lot of, they say he's declined. Like I say, last year's stats, he had better stats, at least the touchdown to interception ratio, than even Mahomes did. And Mahomes won a Super Bowl. So in my mind, I would just love to see. I think we could get a great price. Hell, he's already, let's just say he's on football Social Security right now. He is.
And I was just going to touch on that, Omar. I was going to say, does Wilson have a come to Jesus moment and say, look, I'm this old. Not too many teams are fighting over me. Can I use these last remaining year or years to bring up the next guy? And is that my capacity now? Can he do that? I don't know. But if he can, that may help us. That may help us because we're gonna get AOC's. He's there. He's second year, and then whatever we get is gonna be either a rookie or if we get Fields, he's gonna. He's got a couple years under him.
Yeah.
Can Russell Wilson teach something? I think he can. He can teach if he wants to. If that's what he wants to do.
And that's the big key is if he wants to do it. I
Sure.
don't know if he can put his ego aside to say I'm not the starter, and that's it's going to be a big. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how much Russell Wilson, I guess, really loves football. Does he love the game and he just wants to be in it and be around it and he's willing to come in and teach a younger quarterback and help out and do all that, or is it that I'm the starter or I'm not coming to town? Because he's getting paid regardless. He's getting $39 million next year to sit at home.
Right?
You know what I mean? Regardless.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why.
They had some betting. I'm sorry, Omar. Go ahead.
I just love the fact that it would be a big old fuck you to Denver, dude. John Harley says, as long as Wilson doesn't want his own office, 16 parking spots, I'll take him for $1 million. Or does some weird ass workouts on the freaking team plane or whatever the hell he was doing.
Right.
Like, Jesus.
Semantics, I don't want to deal with Russell Wilson.
Right. I mean, I can think of all the reasons not to have him. I can think of the reasons, but none of them is trumped by just sticking it to the Broncos. You know what I mean? For paying our guy to whoop their ass. I mean, nothing to me. I don't care. I've seen so many arguments from Raider fans, and I love all the arguments, but none beats that. None beats that just inclusive screw you Broncos that it would be if we had Russ. You know what? But it's so great to have a conversation where we know we're just a piece or two away from being extremely competitive and winning. You know what I mean? We know we can beat KC. We know we got the recipe, no matter how they try to shine it down. And to see what we're going to do is exciting. Like I say, where we're going to go in free agency is going to truly tell the tale of the tape about what we're going to do in the draft. This quarterback situation in the draft is just going to be, I think it's crazy. I think we could see six quarterbacks gone, man. I do.
This is probably I haven't been excited for a draft. This excited for a draft for a hot minute. Right. It's going to be very interesting what we do. It's really interesting what how we're gonna end up. And I'm kind of, when I saw the Mac Jones deal this morning, I was like, yeah, I think we're picking 13th.
Right.
We're picking 13th. So because what else? I don't want to draft up, or I don't want to trade up to get something other than Jaden Daniels. In my opinion, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, this is what we got. How are we going to move? How are we going to move now?
Right.
All right, guys, we're up on our time. Well, we're over our time, man. So much good stuff. We will be back a little later in free agency as we make some moves, and then definitely right before the draft, the Couch GM's got to come back, talk about it, give our full predictions for the draft, and have a little fun with it. So,
what day is it? April what?
Isn't it the April? Was it 20? Shit, I can't remember the date.
21st, something like that.
We'll make sure we schedule right before, and then and maybe during and after, man. So hey, guys,
that's a whole month and a half. That's a whole month and a half. I can't imagine what's going to happen this month.
Oh yeah. We all stay tuned.
Find out this week with free agency. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. Peace, everybody. Hey, we only go out one way and only one way. Ray!